I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
Before we get going, we're going to say we are recording this episode before the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers here. Speaking of Star Wars, Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation. That trailer did drop recently. I've been very much enjoying the Lego Star Wars specials on Disney Plus. I don't think you've seen any of them. We were talking before we started recording it. You haven't really seen any of them.
No, it's just been a thing that I have not gotten around to. I should. They look cute.
Yeah, and the reason I really wanted to talk about this one is Lego Weird Al Yankovic.
Lego Weird Al.
We've mentioned this on the show. That's how me and Kiki met. We were both big fans of Weird Al Yankovic, and we were in a chat room about that way back in the day, and that's how we became friends. And of course, Weird Al did write a few Star Wars songs. And now he's in a Star Wars thing. This looks to be very similar to what they did with Terrifying Tales last year, in that we're going to have a overall central story. This one centering around our sequel characters going on a summer vacation together and them interacting with other characters and getting similar stories from other eras of the Star Wars universe. We're seeing in the trailer that I kind of like it. We see Finn and Obi-Wan Kenobi's ghost.
It took me a while to realize that was supposed to be Finn because he's dressed in a Hawaiian shirt or whatever. And Lego characters are entirely, it's like Funko Pops. It's the exact same shape. So the only way you can tell is hair and clothing, what they're supposed to be. With Finn, they have him with different hair and clothing. And of course, it's a different voice actor. In the trailer, it's really difficult to tell who it's supposed to be. So it took me about half the trailer to realize who that was supposed to be.
Which is weird because John Boyega has voiced Finn in one of these Lego Star Wars specials before.
Yeah, but not in this one. So there was no, it wasn't, the voice didn't give it away. And then, of course, he's not dressed in the typical Finn outfit. So I was like, wait, what is going on here? And it took me a second, because for a second I thought it was supposed to be the younger version of Lando because of the way he was acting, because he was acting very carefree Lando-esque. And that makes sense. Like, Lando is taking us on a summer vacation. That's a very Lando thing to do.
We do see Lando in hologram form, voiced by Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, and then they had older Billy D. Lando show up, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's the version of Lando that's in the... So I was like, and then it hit me like, oh, that's supposed to be Finn.
Unfortunately, this is Star Wars. We only have 3 black characters.
I know. I was like, I hate that it came down to, like, let me run through the very small Rolodex of black characters in Star Wars. Ugh.
At least they added one with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So now there's like 4 black characters in Star Wars. There's and one of them's a woman now. the thing is though is that it looks very adorable, and we do get the amazing line of Leia telling Han, "Please try not to lose a hand. That's a thing in my family."
That's Ben.
Oh, is she telling that to?
That is a
Ben?
young Kylo Ren.
Because he's dressed exactly like Han Solo.
But the hair is Ben Solo's hair. So this,
like I said, it's Lego sculpt, so it's really difficult to tell. And he's wearing Han Solo's clothing and, piloting the Millennium Falcon at one point. So
I thought it was Poe, and then I realized, wait, we see Poe with the beard earlier, and he's with, that's supposed to be Leia. Oh, that's Ben. This is taking place after Return of the Jedi. In that 30-year gap between original trilogy and
yeah, because we see the Emperor and we see Vader
on sand. There's got to be a sand joke in this special, or I'm going to hit something. Of course, it gets everywhere.
Well, and it mucks up your electronics at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks very adorable. I don't think it's a snack line hit for me as hard as it was supposed to.
I think because it doesn't rhyme. If it was like, it's a wrap.
If she was holding like a burrito and she was like, it's a wrap, that would be better.
Emperor Palpatine wanted to be king of summer because Weird Al said king and the ruler of summer.
Yeah, the ruler of summer, yeah. Weird Al in the Star Wars universe is so bizarre.
As Weird Al.
As Weird Al, yeah. It's not even... I don't even think they gave him like a strange Star Wars name.
Just regular Weird Al Yankovic. Regular Weird Al is just weird to say. Here we go again.
Yeah, he's regular Al in this universe, I guess.
I guess. And he wrote an original song for this special. And I'll watch it. I mean, I'm not one of those people that is very tight up their own rear end about that Star Wars is serious and everything should be taken as canon. We're allowed to have a little fun once in a while, which is what these Lego specials are. They're not supposed to be taken seriously. They're fun nonsense. It's showing that the people that run Star Wars have a sense of humor. All right, so let's move on to our main feature, Sneakerella. Relatively recent film. This movie only came on Disney Plus about a month ago, May 13th.
It came out in May. This was one that I caught a commercial for on regular TV. I didn't even see the drop on Disney Plus. I was watching something on regular TV and I think I was watching like ABC or something. And I thought, what in the world is this? And it caught my attention enough that I went and watched it. And I thought, this is actually cute enough. Let's do it for the podcast. And it actually caught me when I turned it on and I discovered that it's a musical, which was not apparent from the commercial I watched.
I mean, I did hear about this. I saw in one of the ads for it during those big Disney Plus pushes that they did. And I didn't know if this was a musical until you told me it was a musical. And, the story of Cinderella is older than most of us combined. So sure, it's worth a spot on the show, a reimagining of a classic. It's what Disney does these days anyway. See, I heard about this movie some point last year because they had been showing some advertisements for this in like the online for a bit. This was supposed to be released like in the holiday season of 2021. And then it got pushed to February 2022. Then it got pushed to May of 2022. And then it looked like it was going to get pushed again. And then they just decided to just release it in May.
Yeah, and this was produced under the Disney Channel umbrella.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was originally supposed to be a Disney Channel movie. A couple of months ago, they had someone from Disney had said that any movie that would have been released as a Disney Channel original movie was now going to be a Disney Plus original movie instead, with a future airing on the Disney Channel at a later date. I believe the first official one of these is going to be Zombies 3, which is going to be next month, July. But yeah, this is going to be our first Disney Plus original movie. We had done some of the shows. We had done The Mandalorian, we had done Loki, and we had done movies that were supposed to go to theaters and got pushed to Disney Plus, like Luca. But this is the first time we're doing something that seemingly was made for Disney Plus exclusively.
Yeah.
It's an interesting first way to go. I mean, it wouldn't be my first pick to be our first Disney Plus original movie, but since it's recent, I think it's still the buzz. There's still buzz around it that I think it'll make for good content, as they say.
The thing that intrigued me about it, though, was how they switched the story up, because this is twice now in the past couple of years Disney has done a live action version of the Cinderella story.
Yeah,
the first one was they just straight up did a live action version of their original animated film.
Yeah, 2015 Cinderella.
Yeah, just very much let's do our original classic animated Disney Cinderella, but use real human beings.
Which is what Disney does today as well.
Yeah. This is very much not that. This is, let's take the basic framework of the Cinderella story and modernize it. And then the big thing is they've gender swapped the characters.
Not the first time we've gotten a male Cinderella. 1960, Cinderella with Jerry Lewis.
Well, yeah. It's not an entirely new premise, of course.
And not the first time we've had a black Cinderella. Obviously, there was Brandy in the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella. We've had modern interpretations of Cinderella, like Cinderella's Story with Hilary Duff. But taking all of that together and putting that in one movie and making it about something that is close with black culture. Shoes, let's be real. You know,
and specifically sneakers.
Yes.
This is all about sneaker culture. You know, so if you're taking the idea of Cinderella and the shoe, well, let's make it modern and make it about a type of modern footwear.
I've never gotten into sneaker culture. Even back in the 90s when we were in school, you know, everyone wanted the new Jordans. I've never really got into it. I'm just don't see I never saw the point of paying the exorbitant amount for shoes. I was a Payless kid. I was a Payless guy. Rest in peace, Payless.
Yeah.
So the overall theme of the movie didn't really appeal to me. But as I watched the movie, I kind of got it. You know, it's one of those things that it's on paper, it doesn't sound like it appeals to me. But once you actually see all the pieces in motion, you see where they're coming from and you see that there's something good here. Something. But there's something here. That's all I can say. There's something here.
The thing is that this is less about the collector aspect of sneaker culture and more that our main character, Elle, is a designer of
He's an artist.
shoes. He is an artist. So the idea here is that he wants to be an artist. And recently, Amazon did a version of Cinderella where their Cinderella was a fashion designer. And it's a very similar thing. There are characters in the movie who talk about, the collecting aspect. You see those people. So it's not that they downplay the collector aspect, but Elle is in it for more the design aspect, the personalization aspect,
and the personal connection, because he works in a family shoe store.
Yeah. And what people's shoes say about them, and it's a very different take on sneaker culture than I've seen before in other things when it's portrayed in media. I am also not a person who's into that culture, but I thought it was a very interesting viewpoint. I don't know if it's an accurate one, but I thought it was interesting.
It's very, to borrow the old saying, clothes make the man.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. It's like, you can tell the way a person is by how they present themselves, how they dress themselves, how they groom themselves in general, hairstyles, makeup, stuff like that.
Yeah, and Elle's idea is that you can tell a lot about a person by the way that they keep their shoes, the type of laces that they put on them, how they keep them clean, or, the wear and tear on them, things like that. It kind of gets into a weird, like, Sherlock Holmes kind of thing, the way he dissects.
I was expecting, what's the name of that show with the every time he thinks there's the math equation.
Yeah, it does kind of, you kind of wanted to get that kind of, like, I'm really glad, because I almost expected when he started dissecting people in there, and I'm really glad they didn't go for the, like, weird, like, BBC Sherlock editing tricks where, or the stuff on Psych or whatever, where, like, it would, like, zoom in on somebody's shoes, show text around, they're like, obviously they live on 7th Avenue because, whatever. Yeah. They didn't go that far in it, but it does kind of, he talks about, like, obviously that they cleaned their shoes today because there's still a little bit of moisture, left around, and things like that. Which is kind of interesting, and it shows that he pays attention, and
he pays attention to the details.
Yeah. And it talks about how it goes into his design work and stuff like that. So it's fascinating on how they work shoes into this as more than just the one plot point of, oh, Cinderella lost a shoe at the ball, which I found really fascinating in the writing of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than just a throwaway bit,
Mm-hmm. A lot of this cast are, I'm going to be honest, it was hard to find something to talk about most of this cast, because there's a lot of them don't have Wikipedia pages, and amazingly, a lot of them are not even on IMDb. So let's talk about who we can.
Our main character here is played by Chosen Jacobs, and if you know him, you're gonna know him from the recent It movies. He played Mike Hanlon in there. He was really good in those movies, I'm just gonna say. I also know him from the Castle Rock TV series on Hulu, and he was good in that as well. So if you're a horror fan, you've already run into him a couple of times. But this one, I didn't know he could sing. He's got a really good singing voice.
Oh, yeah.
And he really surprised me in this. His princess is played by Lexi Underwood, and I got to admit, I did not know her before. She has done a few TV series, guested on Person of Interest and Code Black, something called Henry Danger, which I never saw. She apparently did a voice in that animated David S. Pumpkins Halloween special.
Huh.
So we've apparently heard her voice in that, but a lot of what she's done is TV guest spots, and she is playing Malia Obama in a TV series called The First Lady, which I'm assuming is going to be about either Michelle Obama entirely, or maybe more than one first lady. I don't know. But that's pretty interesting. She's got a great voice as well, and did really good in this.
Yeah.
Our king in this,
Darius King.
Darius King.
I do like how our royal family are named King.
Yeah. Is played by a former NBA basketball player turned actor, John Sally.
Playing a former NBA basketball player turned shoe designer.
Yeah. And you might know him from the Bad Boys movies. He pops in here to be our kind of patriarch.
Not such a bad rapper. Not super amazing, but it works for the movie.
He holds his own in what he gets. Yeah. Our wicked stepfather with a twist gets played by Brian Terrell Clark, who I had actually seen before on the Snowpiercer TV series. He's one of the few in this cast that I had seen previously in something. That was kind of interesting. It was one of those where I was like, Our wicked stepbrothers, played by Colton Stewart as Zelly, which is a fascinating name.
It's the male version of Giselle.
Yeah. But Colton Stewart as Zelly, you might know him if you've seen The Expanse or Lock and Key. He's the more active troublemaker of the two. And Stacy is played by Hayward Leach, who does not even get credited in this.
He even gets songs to sing, and he's not credited. That's crazy.
This is kind of one of his first big parts. He's got two TV series I've never heard of called Love Life and Tom Swift that are kind of within the past year.
It just hit me. Tremaine.
Yeah, the stepfather's name is Trey. Yeah. We don't actually get a last name for the family, yeah.
Oh, so it's Tremaine becomes Trey, Anastasia becomes Stacy, and Drizella becomes Zelly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
I just got that.
We get as our best friend here, Sammy. We get Devin Nakota. She's been in Degrassi: The Next Generation, and a TV series called Backstage. Nothing really that I've seen. She also gets the dubious honor of being our Disney gay for this film.
Oh, so that's why this is in the Pride collection.
Yeah, and it's another blink and you'll miss it in true Disney gay fashion. She gets one line about wanting a princess of her own.
Although she has many girlfriends, as Elle says.
And it's literally one line on a train in passing, and except for the fact that she wears rainbow stuff at a couple of points in the movie, that's your entire "hi, I'm your gay character" moment.
Representation? Question mark?
Yep, there it is. That's your gay best friend for the movie. That's yep. And playing the role of our fairy godfather, who may or may not be magical, question mark. We get Juan Choran. He's another one that when I was kind of looking through his thing, I was like, oh, I have obviously seen this guy because he's been working long enough that he was on a whole bunch of stuff that I watched back in the 90s. Just by default of he was working in Canada in the 90s, and if you did that when they were filming every weird low-budget sci-fi show in the 90s, you just ended up on stuff I watched. So he was on shows for like one episode that I watched, like Psy Factor and Earth Final Conflict, and just a whole bunch of stuff. He ended up on an episode of Queer as Folk back in the day, and but he's a character actor that has a very long and impressive list of stuff that I don't know, but he was in Paw Patrol. So good for him. But yeah, he's so fun in this film. I really liked his character, Gustavo.
He also serves as our narrator for the story. Let's get into the story. It's Cinderella. It's the basic story of Cinderella. We don't need to walk you through Cinderella.
Yeah, they don't really make a lot of changes to the framework of Cinderella. It's kid with dead parents, raised by step parent with awful step siblings, forced to do a lot of menial labor, has big dreams, meets someone from a wealthier class, falls in love.
There is a lot of Aladdin in this Cinderella movie.
Well, I mean, Aladdin was also a Cinderella story at its basic framework. If you look at, academically speaking, when you break down fairy tales and stuff, the way Disney did Aladdin, not necessarily
the original story, but
the original story from, the 1001
Arabian Nights, yeah.
Arabian Nights, excuse me. But the way Disney rendered the story of Aladdin is very much a Cinderella story.
I see it more of the low class boy, the high class girl, and the boy that lies.
Well, the problem is it's not the boy that lies. The main conflict is that when the ball, quote unquote, that they go to is that the fairy godfather, Gustavo, who happens to be the nice guy that runs the community garden in the Queens neighborhood where Elle lives. We never find out what Elle is short for.
We see, I think that's just his name, because we see pictures he drew as a kid saying, "My name is Elle."
Yeah, so but EL is generally not. I mean, I'm not saying that nobody would give their kid the name Elle, you know.
I mean,
but
it's there because it's short for Cinderella.
I know, but
we get it. But yeah,
we get it. But you know, it's nobody ever calls him like Elijah or Elias or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like it's always just Elle. The thing about the main conflict once we get there is that Kira, our princess, for want of a better word, is looking to prove to her father that she can find a designer to give their sneaker company the new hotness.
And her father, Darius, the king, wants someone with experience. He even says, he can find the best artist in the world on the street, but he can't risk his business on an unknown.
Yeah, and her older sister, Liv, is finding designers who are putting out passable, but according to Elle, very boring
basic
shoes. Basic shoes. Yeah, they're basic, we've seen it before. They're serviceable, but yawn. So Kira wants to prove that she can find the hot new designer. And she runs into Elle at a shoe drop. She disguises herself and waits in line, and that's how she meets Elle. So they have their little meet cute, and
very much Jasmine in Aladdin. But I do like that there are more adaptations of Cinderella. This is not the first one to do it, but I do like in more modern adaptations of Cinderella, the Cinderella in question meets the love interest very early in the story to set up a relationship, so they just don't meet for the first time at the ball.
The ball is very much a third act thing here. We have our couple meet very early. They get to know each other. Mm-hmm. They get to like each other. But it's very much he doesn't realize who she is or her connection to the company he wants to work for, because that's kind of his dream. He wants to design for this particular company because they're the best. He has hidden away from his family in a little cubby hole in his shoe store that was owned by his mom, who died tragically of some mysterious illness. He's kept his dream a secret because he knows that they're going to make fun of him, or
his brother, his stepbrothers make fun of him for being a dreamer. His father, his stepfather, is very much live in the now, don't live in fantasy land. We live in the real world. We got to make sure this business is successful. I know you like to draw, but that's not going to be your future. You got to help us. You got to help the family.
Yeah.
So it's not so much he's an evil stepfather. I would say he's more of a pessimistic stepfather, an out of touch stepfather, definitely, but not evil.
It's fascinating the way that they do the stepfather, because it's very obvious that the stepfather loved the mom.
Oh, yeah. He gets questioned on that, and he says, "Don't you dare question my love for your mother."
Yeah.
Unlike the original story where the stepmother was only marrying for the money.
Yeah. It's very obvious that there was love there, and that he was devastated by her death, and that the shoe store was her passion. And for him, it's just a business. He doesn't know anything about shoes, whereas she loved shoes. She repaired shoes. She had a sewing machine, and she would help people, and she would fix things, and
she also had a connection to the neighborhood. She knew how to pick the right shoe for the right person, something that she passed on to her son. Unfortunately, the stepfather does not have that connection. As Elle has said, you've made no attempt to connect to the neighborhood, therefore the neighborhood doesn't know you. So they're not going to trust your judgment on shoes. And since you have not made a connection to the neighborhood, you don't really know what they want. Because this is a neighborhood shoe store. This is not a big chain. It's a small shoe store in the middle of Queens that services the neighborhood. To Tracy, this is just a business. He doesn't have the passion for it. Really, they're both only keeping the store open out of respect for the mom. Not much else.
Yeah, I mean, Elle, while he wants to design shoes, he also has a passion for the store as well because he respected his mother. And also we see when he takes Kira around the neighborhood that he knows the neighborhood inside and out. He knows every single person in the neighborhood. He knows every business. He knows what they're good at. He knows, he takes her to the Greek restaurant and he knows what to order. He takes her to all these little, food cart stands and he knows what they're there for. He knows every single person on the sidewalk and they know him. And so that's there. We see at one point Trey trying to sell shoes and the best thing he can do is hey, if you want these shoes, I'll throw in some odor eaters. And the woman looks at Elle and she's like, did he just tell me I have smelly feet? And he's like, yeah, probably. What do you want? He sucks at this.
He's not a very good businessman, and it shows as the business has been failing since the mother's passing because it's not his passion, which is, understandable. But again, out of respect and love for the mother, they're keeping this business going, much to the chagrin of Zelly and Stacy, who hates New York, specifically hate Queens, and wants to go back to Jersey. No offense to anyone in New Jersey. I mean, there's a whole TV show that's on Disney Plus right now about a superhero that lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But
it is a running joke in the movie where Sammy keeps talking about I have never seen two people try to get back to New Jersey so much. A really interesting bit where Elle brings Kira to Queens and Kira says, I've been to Queens because my dad was originally from Queens, but I've never seen Queens like this. Because Elle is very connected. And her father, Darius, has kind of forgotten his roots.
Elle calls him out saying, you forgot. You forgot what it was to come from Queens. You're not connected to the people anymore. You've been this rich mogul for so long, you forgot about the common person. To which, naturally, Mr. King would find that offensive, but he kind of understands that, yeah, you're not wrong, but I'm still a businessman and I got to do what's best for my business.
The idea of the film and the conflict, like we were saying, is that the father wants somebody experienced and established. And so when they go to this, gala, which is our stand-in for the ball, it's there to announce the new designer that they're going to work with. And Elle makes these shoes that are reflective of the day he spent in Queens showing Kira around the neighborhood. So the shoes have things like the logo from the Greek restaurant and the
mural.
A mural that they stopped at and took picture, selfies at and stuff like that, and part of the city outline and stuff that you can see from there. They are supposedly very impressive shoes.
Everyone at this gala is astounded by these shoes. Who do you work for? What company do you work for? I want this kid. This kid designed these shoes. I want him. Who does he work for?
Elle is starts out being honest, like, oh, I don't work for anyone. And Sammy is the one that steps up and starts trying to talk him up because she thinks she's helping him.
Oh yeah, like, he's just underground artist. No, he works with all of these people. I'm under NDA. I can't tell you who he's working for, but if you knew, they kill me or something.
Yeah, and she starts talking him up. So by the time he reconnects with Kira has heard everybody at the party saying rumors about him because Sammy just kind of wink and nod and like, oh, maybe I've signed an NDA, or like, oh, I can't tell you, or oh, he's freelance or whatever, which is not a huge lie. The stuff Sammy says is more kind of wink and nod, I can't tell you. And other people kind of fill in the gaps. And then we hear, as Elle walks through the party, we hear other people talking about him as he walks through the party. And the movie is very good about that. Mm-hmm. That you hear the rumor growing as he walks around looking for Kira, and he doesn't realize people are talking about him because he's very single-minded, focused on finding her. And the idea of a rumor spreading, like, oh, look at that kid with those shoes. Yeah, he's a huge designer. Well, I've heard this and I've heard that. And, it just grows and grows and grows. So by the time he meets up with Kira has heard all of these massive rumors about how he is a very experienced designer that has worked with everyone. And she believes it because everyone at her gala is talking about this guy. So when she puts it together that he's the one they're talking about, she immediately goes up to her dad and is like, hey, I found you this experienced designer. And he doesn't want to be like, oh no, your daughter's lying to you right in front of her dad.
It's also, like I said, Aladdin very much in that Prince Ali moment where he goes, if she found out I'm just a busboy at a struggling shoe store, she'll reject me. So I have to play up the rumor. I have to play up all of this to, one, impress her, and two, impress her father.
Yeah, because when they had that first meeting, she was just a girl in line to get shoes, like he was just a boy in line to get shoes. He had no idea that she was one of the richest girls in New York City.
Penthouse apartment in the middle of New York City.
Yeah, and now she's the daughter of the guy he's dreamed of working for, his whole, young life or whatever. This does have one of the most adorable scenes, I will say, when he's at the gala and they meet up again, and they do have the one reused song.
Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, yeah.
Yeah, they do a cover version of Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes,
even though this
two
is the
singing
scene,
it.
Even though this scene is supposed to have So This Is Love, I understand Disney. You wanna hammer home this thing by using the song from Cinderella. I think it feels out of place.
I thought it was beautiful. I absolutely loved the scene because it's just, he sees her and there's this whole little fantasy sequence where the rest of the room disappears And in his mind, the two of them have this beautiful choreographed dance where they sing this beautiful cover version of "A Dream Is What Your Heart Makes," and it's just gorgeous. The
I
version
do. I
they
mean,
do.
again, tropey, but I do like the fact that in his mind, she is literally the only other girl in that room.
Yeah, and they do this absolutely wonderful dance, and then he snaps back to reality. Yeah, but by the time he finds her and they talk and she realizes, like, oh, you're the guy, I'm gonna get you a job working for my dad and everything. And then he realizes, like, wait, your dad's gonna give a speech at the stroke of midnight, but I have to be gone at the stroke of midnight because, of course, that's still a thing.
That's the story, yeah. So we get Gustavo. Let's backtrack a bit to Gustavo, because again, he's introduced very early in the story because he is the neighbor who may or may not have magical powers. He first displays said magical powers by aiming his hose to the street light to automatically make it change green so they can cross, so they can get to the train, so they can get to the shoe store for the opening and whatnot. So, and then he also goes, be back by midnight. He always is in the right place at the right time, But midnight because Cinderella, and then yeah, to add, as you were saying,
And he ends up running down the up escalator, and it ends up tearing some of his clothes, and his shoe comes off, and that's
very reminiscent to the animated version.
It's less that the magic disintegrates, and more that just unfortunate things happen because they didn't leave at midnight. Like the car gets towed because they were parked in the wrong spot, and
a car runs through a puddle and splashes them.
Yeah, so their clothes get ruined, so they can't keep the clothes because they're probably dry clean only, and now they've got whatever. And so it's that sort of thing. It's like, well, you weren't home at the right time, so now you've missed your bus connection, and like all that kind of stuff. She doesn't know Elle's name, and they never exchanged social media stuff. Like it's a point in the movie that they never exchanged social media stuff.
Very early in the movie, Trey takes away Elle's cell phone.
Yeah.
Because he's too busy daydreaming and not enough time working in the store. So after the party, all Kira has is the shoe. And we do the modern version of, instead of going door to door to find people, we'll use social media. Since she has thousands of millions of followers on her Instagram, she instantly puts a picture of a shoe on Instagram saying, "This guy was at the gala. Who is he? Who are you? We want to talk."
Yeah, find my prince. During this, the brothers see the social media, and eventually, they realize through shenanigans and accidentally finding his little cubby hole, which has the other shoe in it, like
along with his other designs.
Yeah, along with the other designs. They're like, oh, it's him, and we need to ruin his life. Because the other thing is that while all this is happening, it's been announced that Trey has decided he's gonna sell the store to like
Foot
Locker, yeah. And they're all moving to Jersey. And the brothers have decided nothing is going to stop our move to Jersey, and our stepbrother becoming a shoe designer for the biggest shoe company in the world is probably going to scuttle that because we might get stuck here and we don't want that.
And we have to teach little brother his place in the world.
Yeah, we have to remind him of his place, which is he's a stock boy.
At this point, Kira is like directly messaging Sammy, because apparently Elle doesn't have social media, and they end up talking on Sammy's phone again because Elle's phone got taken away. And they set up a meeting with her father, come in, bring the shoe, and we'll discuss a possible future with you at the company. And like I said, little brother needs to learn his place in the world. So they lock him into storage. They lock him in the storage room. They take the shoe and they go to the meeting, and they spill all the tea about their little brother or their little stepbrother. So eventually Al makes it to the meeting late with all his designs, saying, hey, if you like this, you're going to love this design, this design, this design. Seeing his stepbrothers coming out of the meeting, oh crap, what happened? Cat's out of the bag. They know everything about you. They think, oh, you made up all of these stories because you want a job. You don't, are you even a designer? Did you even design this shoe? You've coerced my daughter for the purposes of getting to me because that's what you want. Older brothers ruining little brother's dreams because they want to go back to Jersey, and that's the goal. That's all they want, is to go back to Jersey. Like I said before, Elle is kind of proven right, because when it comes out that he is just a poor boy from Queens, he is rejected. Not only is he rejected by his mentor, his idol, Darius King, the king of sneakers, he is rejected by the girl he likes, Kira.
Sometimes the thing is, though, is that, I'm not saying that being dishonest necessarily is a correct thing to do. But at the same time, if you want people to be honest with you, you have to make it safe for people to be honest with you. Because she was very clear to him that, her affection for him seemed entirely dependent on him having those qualifications.
That her mother calls her out on.
Which I love. The mom in this is great. We haven't really talked about the mom, but the mom is great, because
it's clear that she's the businesswoman of this team, because she's the one that says, hey, if Kira knows someone who's a good designer, we should give him a shot.
Yeah, the mom is kind of the one that shows up and sort of fixes everything. Kira's mom is kind of like, hello, my husband. You're being rather douchey. Maybe you should stop that.
Yes, dear. She even straight up says to Kira, your father wouldn't be the mogul who he is without me. And, this kid tried to impress you. And when you found out who he was, you shoved him to the side.
Yeah,
so, she straight up.
He can't help where he was born. So maybe get off your high horse, princess, and maybe recognize the talent and the fact that he's trying.
Because she seems to not have forgotten where she came from.
Yeah, the mom is the most down-to-earth one. Everybody else has had their head turned by the money and the success, and the mom's like, y'all realize that we're
lucky to be where we're at.
We were poor and living in Queens and went to that same Greek restaurant, right? Just because you were good at playing basketball and we made good, that don't make us better, right? Okay.
Can we put her on the list of really good Disney moms?
Yeah, she is an excellent character. She needed more time in this movie because she is the only one that just kind of wanders in and was like, y'all need Jesus. Just saying.
I mean,
and the mom is trying to remind them, okay, look, it's kind of our fault because y'all were raised with money. So I gotta remind you what the real world is like occasionally. But
it's the more optimistic version of what Trey is saying. Because Trey is trying to tell Elle, keep your head out of the clouds and stay in the real world, but he does it in a very pessimistic kind of way.
Yeah, you will never have anything. So don't try.
Yeah.
The mom is like, look, your parents worked real hard to get you stuff, but you got to remember, not everybody is as fortunate as you, so maybe don't be snooty.
So Gustavo, our favorite godfather, sees that, Elle does not deserve to have his dream shattered because of one mistake, and uses his magic powers to make the shoes. This is the only part of the story that I did not like. I would have preferred if maybe the dad had, because we see Elle throwing all of his designs in the garbage because he's giving up his dreams. He's relented that he will only be a nobody. This is his place in the world. That's who he is. I would have liked it if we had, and it would have added to the redemption of the stepfather Trey if he had seen those designs in the trash, looked at them, and say, "Hey, these aren't too bad. These are really good," and made the shoes. They may not have been perfect,
or had been like, look, or like found him cleaning up the stockroom and been like, you know what, I'll finish cleaning up the stockroom. You got some sewing to do.
Yeah. It would have added to the redemption, and it would have made the
ending like
a
montage of Trey bringing him coffee and helping him stay awake, or
mm-hmm.
while he finishes making the shoes. That would have been better, but it would have taken away from the final reveal of Trey, maybe, that we get at the end. I don't know which I like better.
So, SneakerCon, the big sneaker convention where Darius King is supposed to announce his new designer.
By the way, SneakerCon is not what you're thinking. SneakerCon is literally just this family sets up in the storefront of their business in Times Square, and
it's
everybody
a Nike
else.
Store.
Yeah, it's just the store in Times Square, and everybody else stands at the window on the sidewalk and stares at them.
We're not getting people cosplaying as shoes at this convention.
Yeah, it's not even like you would expect it to. I expect SneakerCon to be like a big dealer's room at the same place they hold like New York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But it's just a big dealer room, and then they have like one showroom where it's like, do you want to see the new Nikes? Yeah! Here's the new Nikes. Yeah! That was the new Nikes. Yeah! Go buy shoes. Yeah! I guess it's just, this was filmed during COVID, and I guess that was the best they could do, was like a couple actors inside a store and a bunch of people outside staring through the windows of the.
Probably.
I don't know. I'm just chalking that one down to COVID, the fact that it looks really weird. But Elle makes it to the front of the store and waves to Kira and hands her shoes that were magically made and so are in her size, and they were designed specifically for her, and they have little K's on them.
Yeah, he specifically says he designed it to fit her personality.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh," and the mom is like, or the sister this time, because the sister's now on board. The sister's like, "Girl, he showed up this entire way to bring shoes he designed specifically for you. Please go get your man." Like, you are making a mockery of our entire family, which is shoe-based. We are a shoe-based family, and the boy just showed up with shoes he designed for you. Please, if you do not go hook up with this boy, I am disowning you. So Kira's like, yeah, and they are pretty cute shoes, so all right. And she's like, Dad, I want you to meet this boy. You kind of need to battle rap him so that we can, like, settle this and see if I got a new boyfriend or what.
So yeah, he straight up, you know, L straight up, you know, like we said before, tells Darius, "You forgot where you came from. I may be nobody, but I'm connected to the streets. I know what the streets like, and I know what the community likes, and this is, you know, here they are. You know, this is, you know, my designs." And
Yeah, my
Darius,
designs are personal. Like, I may not have experience, but I've got heart and soul, and I'm real, and this is my realness in my shoes. And also, I'm mad in love with your daughter.
and Darius straight up says, you know, "You may have the talent, but you don't got the experience. I can't risk my company on a nobody, you know, on an unknown."
But also, like, where the hell is the boy gonna get experience if you don't give him a chance?
You
Like,
know,
you don't have to make him your lead designer, but
just give the kid an internship.
or like, uh, let him work as the assistant to one of your designers or something. Like,
It's like what we have in the real world right now. You know, entry level job must have 12 years experience.
yeah, I mean, it's okay to have entry level jobs. Like, I would have been fine if he'd been like, you know what, you need experience. So here's a job where you can get experience. That would have been an excellent ending to this movie. I mean, the movie still ends with him getting the job. It's fine. But the movie did not necessarily need to end with him being like, and now the lead designer for whatever. It's okay to tell people that you got to go out and pay your dues. I'm cool with that. But the problem with telling people go out and pay your dues is you got to have some way for people to do that.
And that's kind of what L wants to say. He just wants a chance. He just wants a shot. Don't make, like you, I believe the shoes can make you fly. And that seems to hit him because that's something that he says earlier in the movie, that he believes that the right shoes can make you fly. And
yeah, and that's part of the dream sequence at the beginning where he's like walking up sides buildings and levitating
on
in
air.
Yeah.
And to say that to a guy whose whole thing is basketball, and we all remember the slogan, "It's got to be the shoes."
Yeah, so I mean, and that's like, Nike Air and Air Jordans and all that kind of stuff.
You wear the shoes, you can jump higher.
Yeah. So, and while they didn't spring for those endorsement deals, that's what he's referencing.
Basketball player with popular shoes. Yeah, this is essentially Jordan.
Yeah, they just didn't get Jordan because that's a HBO thing, I think.
Jordan's a terrible actor. I'm going to be
well, that too, but then we get Trey showing up, and Trey admits, like, hey, I kind of didn't sign up for this. Like, I loved the mom, and the kids didn't get along, and I'm kind of sorry for that. Maybe I hadn't been the best dad, but I want to be a better dad.
It's not too late for a second chance. That seems to be the crux of that little end of the song there. It's like he wants to be a better father, which is a much better resolution than the original story and the stepmother. And it's a nice redemption for the stepfather because, like I said, he's not an evil stepfather. He's a pessimistic stepfather. He's an out of touch stepfather, but he's not evil.
And he's also a grieving stepfather.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that he's got his own issues and that it has made him an inattentive father. I want to say that I'm glad that this movie sidesteps the demonization of Black fathers. That so often in media and in real life, we have either the absent Black father or the, just the bad Black father.
And step-parents in general.
And step-parents in general as well.
Cinderella, the original story, didn't exactly shine step-parents in the brightest light.
Yeah. But that we have examples of two Black fathers in this that, while they may make mistakes during the course of the story, are never shown to be absent or unloving. They may falter, or they may be inattentive, or they may misunderstand their children at points. But I think that that's common with all parents in general. I mean, I think that's just a common complaint between kids and parents from any background of any generation. And so that's a fine dynamic to portray. But by the end of the story, you know, they're still there and they're still trying with their kids. And that's a dynamic that has been missed very often in media, unfortunately. And especially with a stepfather. Mm-hmm. So I like that Trey, by the end of it, is just like, hey man, give me another chance. I saw your designs. I may not get it fully, but I do support you. And he even stands up to him with, you know, to Darius on behalf of Elle, and is like, you should probably give the kid a chance, you know? I have dismissed his dreams, but I think if you give him a shot, he's got a chance here. And Darius is like, well, you got anything more to say before I make you my lead designer? And Elle's like, yeah, I'm very in love with your daughter.
Yeah. And then we fast forward 1 year later. The store is now under Elle's personal ownership.
And it's got his designs under the King brand.
Yep.
That are being sold in the store. And we see that there are lots of people standing there waiting for the new drop of his new design.
There's a young boy who is completely shocked that Elle is actually at the store as he's buying the shoes.
Yeah, and he puts on the shoes and goes outside and starts to float in the air and does a little dance. And so does everybody else as they dance in the street and talk about achieving your dreams and living the life and, you know, all the other good, positive messages and what have yous.
Happily ever after the end.
Yeah. So since I am the one who pitched the film to you, I'm gonna let you answer the question first. Do you think that Sneakerella has the magic?
It took me a while. I would say the first half hour didn't thrill me. It was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's something, you know, it didn't really grab me. What really started to grab me in this movie was when we started reminiscing about the mother and how much the shoes connect to Elle, how much the store connects to Elle, and how much that all of this really is coming from a boy who wants to continue the dream of his mother while also wanting to express himself artistically. I think the movie's a bit long because this is a 2-hour movie, and I don't think it needed to be 2 hours long. But I said it took a bit for it to catch me, but once it did catch me, I'm not going to say I love this movie. I think the movie is fine. It's okay. I at most, I'll like this movie. There is some magic here. I think it's a bit long for my taste. It really takes too long to really get going to catch someone. And I think by that point, some people would have tuned out. There's something here. There's some magic here. it could have been tightened up a bit. But I'm going to say, since we don't do mid-most here, I'm going to say yes, but it's not going to be on my top 10 list anytime soon.
That's fair. I will say that I found this to be a very strange surprise. So I'm going to say that there's magic because I was really shocked by what this was. I agree with you that it needed more polish. And I think that a lot of what was missing was probably due to COVID. And I agree with you that it was probably a little too long in parts. Maybe needed some editing. The thing is, though, is that I thought that the songs were really cute. The actors were all really good. The two leads I thought were really amazing together. That main Kira relationship I thought worked really, really well. And the voices on both of them were awesome. I loved the family dynamic in the King family. Especially the mom. I would watch an entire movie of that mom just being like, now let me sit you down and tell you where you're wrong. But I thought it was really adorable. I would watch a sequel to this. I don't know exactly what they would do with it, but I liked the characters enough that I would, Yeah. I would watch that dynamic again. I don't know. It surprised me. I think more than anything. And I thought it was a kind of unique spin on the story. So, yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's move on to next week. Next week, there's a new Marvel movie, because there's always a new Marvel movie. Thor: Love and Thunder finally coming out. In honor of that, we are taking a look at the last Taika Waititi Thor movie, Thor: Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah, we're going to Ragnarok and roll next week. I'm sorry for that one.
You should be.
So come back for Thor: Ragnarok next week, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye. Don't let the magic stop here.
Join our conversation online on Facebook at Rewatching the Magic,
Twitter at Rewatch the Magic,
and of course, new episodes every week at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com.
Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.